Well, I mean, this feels like coming home from a multi-day bender. Yeah, I have had quite a bit of pleasure the last few weeks reviewing either aircraft models, but now I have to return to a Herpa Wings model. And how will that go? Well, that's what we want to find out, impartial as always. But we can do so thanks to the help of Jumbolino Model, our great partner here on the channel, where you can get really nice models at reasonable prices with great service. So do check them out. You can find a link to them in the video description below. With that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where we today will take a closer look at an Airbus A321XLR of Iberia. At the front of the box we have a cutout so we can get a glimpse of the aircraft model inside, and on top of that we have the Iberia branding. The backside then offers us yet another cutout. I have really not been looking forward to reviewing this box design. It is dreadful. Herpa, please change it. And here she is, the Airbus A321XLR in the current standard livery of Iberia. Now, we have a few firsts here. Firstly, it is the very first XLR ever delivered in real world, and also the very first XLR featured in Scale 500, although there is, of course, at least from the outside, virtually no difference to any other A321neo from Airbus. But still, it is cool to see that aircraft now featured also in Scale 500, and with the Iberia livery, it is certainly also going to be a quite popular model amongst collectors. So it is important to find out how Herpa is actually done with the aircraft model to see if it is worth our money and time. And we will do so by taking a closer look at the tail section, where we on the vertical stabilizer have the Iberia color scheme. On the fuselage we then find the Spanish crown, the Spanish flag, we have the full registration code of the aircraft, and then towards the very tail of the aircraft we also have a bit of detailing at the APU exhaust. On top of the fuselage we then also find a set dome, and when I look at images from the real aircraft, well, it seems like Herpa has actually managed to both place the set dome correctly and also fairly close to the real size. So even though they are normally quite inconsistent with that, I think here they have actually managed to get quite close to the real thing. Now moving on to the front of the aircraft, we can see across the fuselage the writing of Iberia. Underneath that we have the aircraft type specification, and looking a little bit further down we find a static port. Next to the cabin door we have the One World logo, of which Iberia is a full member. Now underneath the cockpit window we actually have another Iberia branding, I guess a former Iberia branding, because underneath that it specifies the years 1927 to 1939. If you know what's up with that, because we also find that kind of branding on the box actually, then share your knowledge in the comments section down below. Now let's look at the cockpit section itself, because here we then of course have the cockpit windows with the neo black mask. We have another static port. We also have the window wipers, but that's then also the amount of detailing we will find here with Herpa Wings. As always, the shape of the nose is a little bit tricky. From some angles it looks fine, from some not. It will never be my favorite. Then we can take a look at the engines. The engine nacelles have been kept in all white, just as most of the fuselage, but we do find the silver leading edge, the safety markings, and the Iberia branding printed on. That looks quite nice. The physical detailing of the neo engines from Herpa Wings I've never had any issue with. They look really nice, especially also here from the front. Very, very nice. You can see the engine fan blades. On the fuselage, just above the wings, we have the emergency exits printed on. That leads us straight on to the wings, which we should also take a closer look at. Starting over the top side, we have the different flap slats and spoilers carved out very nicely. We have some different shades of grey for additional detailing, and we also have the markings for the emergency exits printed on, looking quite lovely. The underside of the wings has more nice physical detailing, and here we also find the full registration code of the aircraft. The A321neo, of course, comes with winglets, which is always a tricky thing with Herpa Wings. We have the Iberia color scheme printed on. That looks nice, but what is tricky with the winglets from Herpa Wings is how they are bent. That is super inconsistent with Herpa Wings, so you will need to check this individually for every single aircraft model coming from Herpa Wings. On this side I think it's fine, on this slightly different, but also still within margins. The landing gear, that is the standard landing gear that Herpa uses for all their Airbus A320 family aircraft models in Scale 500. Main landing gear looking fine, front landing gear unfortunately massively oversized, and as always, no printed details. The belly of the aircraft then offers us a hole in the fuselage for a stand that is not included with this aircraft model. Quite silly decision, but at least it doesn't destroy any printed details, given that there are no printed details here. Then last but certainly not least, we also have the doors to the cargo compartments printed on here at the back of the aircraft, and also here at the front of the aircraft. So there we have it, the Airbus A321XLR in the standard livery of Iberia from Herpa Wings in scale 1 to 500. And what can we say about this aircraft model? As I opened up with in the review, I think it is nice that we finally see the XLR featured in scale 500, even though it is of course virtually identical, at least from the outside, to any other Neo aircraft type. But we've had a plethora of standard Neos, we've had a couple of LRs, and now we can get into the XLR business. So that's great. Of course, also featuring then the Iberia livery, I guess is a stroke of luck for Herpa Wings. This is always an airline that is quite popular amongst diecast collectors, and it is the very first XLR in real world as well to be delivered. So all that is good stuff, that's good combinations, makes sense, and promises good sales for Herpa Wings. So all good, I guess, or maybe not. I mean, what is good is overall the print quality, so we don't have any smudges, edges are quite clean, and we don't have the print line issues that have plagued quite a few models from Herpa Wings recently, but of course with such a wide livery it would be really difficult for them to actually add print lines. Not impossible, but difficult. Which is also nice is to see the set dome actually being fairly close to the real thing, but we still have of course the issues of the massively oversized front landing gear, and also this model suffers from the very flat wings, so they have been put in at an almost 90-degree angle. I don't know what's going on with Herpa recently, but this is affecting quite a few aircraft types currently. Hopefully something that will change very soon, but for now, that's what Herpa does. But putting all that aside, it feels like a pretty standard Herpa Wings model. And because of that, for me, it feels like the last hurrah of Herpa Wings. But what do I mean by that? I did an in-depth interview of the founder and CEO of either model in my recent episode of the BongoCast. I highly recommend you to check that out. And in that podcast, he could reveal that either model is indeed already working on new molds for narrow-body aircraft, which will appear on the market in 2026. Now, I know but cannot reveal just yet which aircraft type they will be, but needless to say, these models will have way more printed details than what we get from Herpa Wings here. And don't forget, Herpa Wings still wants to sell you this at 40 euros retail price. And either model wide bodies are already selling for less than this, so it's not far-fetched to anticipate the prices for the narrow bodies to be even lower. Now, Herpa can deliver a model like this to us at the moment because they are still uncontested in that segment of the market, but this will not last very long. So for me, this can mean two things. Either Herpa will start stepping up, which for me is definitely the preferred way to go. I would look forward to that. Or Herpa will not step up, but then ultimately disappear from the market, which I think would be very unfortunate. So yeah, for me, this is very much the last hurrah of Herpa Wings, unless they really seriously start stepping up their game. And with that, we have reached the end of today's episode. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section below. Leave a like if you have enjoyed this video, and if you're new around here, why not hit subscribe? With that, thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.